Hey, everybody. I'm Stacy.
I'm Jelani.
Welcome to It Takes Work, episode 4. I was like, I had to think about it for a second. Are we on episode 3? Episode Jesus. See, you can tell we are new to this. I mean, season 2 is probably going to be a little bit more polished, but I'm learning. We're going to have some new equipment and all that different stuff, but that's down the line. But right now,
We got a budget.
uh, I'm believing the Lord for a budget.
All right.
So just roll with me on this, huh? Amen. Let him use you. Yeah. So we are back with episode 4. We typically would publish it like on maybe the third or fourth Saturday, but again, this is the lovely thing about having your own thing, doing it at your own pace, at your own timeline. There are no requirements. We can publish it when we want to, as frequently as we want to.
Not to mention we had family celebrations all this week.
Right. So. This was a good week for the Wilson household. Our youngest child graduated high school. She also turned 18 years old.
Back to back.
I mean, yeah, birthday was the day before, graduation was the next day, and then this weekend was a weekend of celebrations. We celebrated Father's Day because this awesome man deserved to be celebrated, and it was Juneteenth, and so it was a lot going on this weekend, and I am not mad at any of it. So thank you guys for hanging in there with us. Episode 4 is here, and we have decided that we're going to do a little series under the title of The Family Dynamic, and tonight we're going to talk about the presence of a father. I think it's fitting. What do you think?
It's an interesting topic.
It is an interesting topic, but it's fitting. It is. We're coming off of Father's Day weekend. You're an awesome father. Huh?
Thank you.
Yeah. See? There's a method. So, most of this conversation is going to be led by... Who we looking at? Huh? Who we looking at? We're looking at you. Most of this conversation is going to be led by Jelani. I am going to facilitate it, okay? And I am going to participate. But majority of the content tonight will be Mr. Wilson here. So, Mr. Wilson, are you up for the challenge?
Maybe not.
Don't worry.
We'll see.
It's going to be good, y'all. It's going to be good. So, I will kick it off by talking about the different things we're going to touch on in this episode tonight. We're going to touch on the importance of a father's presence, the impact of the absence of a father, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also going to talk about when you have a father present in the house physically, but not present, okay? Because that's the part that I can relate to somewhat. I'm not accusing my father of not being present fully, but because of his own challenges, which I learned as an adult, I have grace, of course, significant amount of grace now for those challenges he had as an adult. Although he was in our home, he was a provider. My father had some challenges that often, while he was there, he wasn't there. So I'll speak to that. So, I'm going to kick this thing off. You, Jelani, you're a father. You're present. And just to give you guys a little bit of background, Jelani's father was not active in his life. When he was growing up as a man, he wasn't really active. And so who Jelani is as a father, I want to kind of lead with that. What made you be the type of father that you are, being that you didn't have the example?
There's a lot of things that played into it. I would say definitely not having my father in my life kind of made me envy the things that I see, quote unquote, good fathers on TV and, fathers that, you interact with in real life, with their other kids, what they get from it. Mm-hmm. And also, my grandfather played a big part in raising me, which was very key. He showed me all the things that a father would normally show their son. And he helped, throw some knowledge on me and everything as far as, what to look out for, how to take care of yourself. So, I didn't have my actual father in my life. I had father figures in my life. So I think that's real key to make sure that with any child, especially young boys, that they make sure they have, if not their father, somebody who could be a father figure or a big brother or somebody that can show them how to be a man. Because you learn from the streets, you're going to learn a lot of the wrong things as far as how to take care of yourself, how to conduct yourself as a man, how to treat women. All these things play into, a big role into it.
Okay. And that's facts, though. That's facts, right? So those contributions to your life shaped the type of father that you are, that you started out as. So raising your children the way that you have, if you had to, when you get to the point where you have to have those types of conversations with Terrell about his presence as a father to his children, what are some of the things that you would, tell him?
Well, we have these talks constantly. Just out of random blue, we just have sit down conversation. And Terrell's not the type that can sit down and have long-winded, drawn-out conversations. So you gotta kind of
to the point.
Hit them with straight facts.
What is it?
And right to the point. And what you mean by what you say, for him to comprehend and to absorb it, into what you're trying to convey to him. But we talk about, first of all, how to be a man, how to act like a grown man. And it's not all about your chest being out, you being macho and all this stuff like that. You can be quiet and still be a strong man.
Yep.
And also how to advocate for yourself, how to speak up for yourself, how to get your message across clearly as a man. Also, how to treat women, how to talk to women. Yeah. And people who don't know me know I'm real big on, opening doors for you. You don't let no woman in your presence touch a door. And that's something I try to burn into his brain matter. If you in the presence of any of your sisters, your mama, your grandma, I don't care if it's the bag lady on the street. You make sure you're a gentleman at all times.
Okay. So, in that subject matter, staying in that kind of realm, I know that one of the things that I think has really impacted our family and our children specifically is how active you are. Because a lot of times, at least for me, growing up, I thought that the role of a father was very, the mother did all of the things, right? All of the engagement, all of the, and daddy would step in when it was time for discipline or anything like that. Now, one thing I will say, as a child, very small child, my father, I spent a lot of time with him watching TV, doing different things. I spent a lot of time. And then when I got older, not really knowing the things that he struggled with, there were some points of absence, right? And in those points of absence, I found it to be a bit of a challenge for me because I'm not necessarily a challenge where I felt the void because he was there. I just didn't understand the challenges. Yeah, I didn't understand that. And I came to understand it as I got older. But watching you with our children and seeing how you being an active participant in their school events, being active in making sure that things that they needed in the household were taken care of. You helped me kind of break those defined lines of mom and dad, because I thought, the mama cooked, cleaned it. I had really antiquated thought processes about what the expectation was of a mother and a father. And so you helped me in the sense of us partnering together. There was no defined role where, I was the one that washed the clothes and cooked the food. When the kids needed something, we both jumped in and did what they needed. And I thought that was really beneficial to the shaping of our children's minds, because now they're not limited in thinking. The only thing I'll say this, and I'm just saying this is just me. This is a personal Stacey thing. I, I, I definitely put a gender role on pumping gas. So let me just go ahead and put that out there now. I do not like pumping gas. This is solely me. This is, this is nothing that I have projected on my daughters. They've heard me say it. I don't like pumping gas. I will drive my car as close to E as possible and then come back home and say, hey, Jelani, I need some gas. Go get my car, get some gas. Now, but outside of that, my kids aren't limited to, oh, my son isn't like, oh, I can't wash clothes because I'm a dude.
But see, I think that's important though for their
Yeah.
growth.
That they understand.
That they understand that you can do everything. Don't be waiting to depend on somebody to do something you could do yourself.
Exactly. And really breaking down that definition. Father really means this, that. A father fathers. He provides, he protects, he nurtures, he educates, he inspires. And you've done all of that for all of our children. It isn't just limited to our son. And I can appreciate that, and it really does change the narrative of fatherhood and really articulates the importance of a father, an active father. You don't just walk around beating your chest, I'm your daddy, do what I say. You have conversations with them.
But see, you have to build that bond from when they're little kids. You can't just go like, I'm going to go absentee dad for like 10, 15 years, then hop right in and say like, hey, I'm your dad. Do what I tell you to do. It don't work that way. They're going to look at you like you're stupid, like a stupid ape or something. But what you want to do is, be honest with them, be genuine with them.
Yeah.
And, not having my father was kind of like a blessing, and I always wanted to make sure everything I didn't never get, my kids got.
Yeah.
And I was determined to make sure that was my main goal when I had kids. They go get everything that I didn't get. And I'm not talking about like monetary or material.
Right. I want to make sure we make that clear. This wasn't about making sure they had the latest this and the latest that. He means, the character, the nurturing, the love, the support.
Right.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into like the next part of what we wanted to talk about. The absence of a father. Now, I know we've talked about this before, so I leave it up to you about how much you'd like to share as far as how it affected you. But how did the absence of your father, although I know you had the support of your grandfather and other influences, how did the absence of your actual father impact you and affect you up until, even now?
Oh, I'm not gonna lie. I was pissed at him for like years. It took me get into I want to say my late 30s, early 40s to fully understand why he wasn't in my life and be okay with him not being in my life. Because a lot of times people want things, but God kind of has a way of protecting them from things that you actually want, but he knows you really don't need in your life to help you grow to the person that he wants you to be. And this is no shade of my father, God rest his soul, but if he was to raise me, I probably wouldn't be who I am today.
Facts.
So me and him, we buried the hatchet. I basically got everything off my chest as far as how he made me feel unwanted, unloved as a kid growing up. And he actually owned up to it, and he apologized for that. We was good after that.
And I like that you made that point, because and I'll say this to those who did not get that opportunity to have that kind of closure, to have that conversation. Just allow God to wash over your heart and really close up that wound for you. But even to that point that you were making earlier, where you got a chance to really see the value of him not being in your life at that time. Now, here's the thing. Not saying this to say that his, making any judgments on his father, or he's a horrible person to this. When you get older and you start to see how certain challenges you have internally can really affect how you engage with people, or can really affect how you, the way that you do things. You begin to have a little bit more sympathy for maybe somebody who mishandled you, right?
A little more compassion.
Yeah, you're a little bit more compassion. You have a little more compassion for how you were treated by somebody. Um, our pastor in Atlanta, Pastor Jesse Kearney III of New Mercies Christian Church in Lilburn, Georgia, years ago he taught this message, and he said that everybody that everybody that plants the seed isn't always qualified to raise it.
Facts.
I never forgot that. And especially when Jelani was really getting to the point where he was starting to unpack the issues, with his father not being in his life. I remembered that, and I would often remind him of that, and not in the sense of, it was just his daddy would have mishandled the seed, right? And then once Jelani got older, and we did started engaging with his father, and we began to see maybe some of the things where he himself was not quite healed from, and certain characteristics and stuff that he was dealing with, that had he, been in Jelani's life, he would have subjected Jelani to those things. And when you aren't healed from your own stuff, and you subject somebody else to your unhealed stuff, you ultimately infect them. And then now they've got some stuff they got to work through. So, getting to that point, I think, you've done a lot of work and allow God to really do a major work. So do you want to talk a little bit about that? Because I think a lot of, especially in this culture today, in this culture today of, self-healing and healing, and that's all well and good. I'm not knocking none of it. I do think it is important to do your own, kind of assessment, examination, right? Mm-hmm. But you can't do it without God.
No, at all.
This ain't up for debate with me. Don't inbox me. Don't leave me no nasty comments.
If you need an accountability partner, he's right there. If you need somebody to do a self-help evaluation on you, he's right there. Mm-hmm. And that's literally what I had to do, was take a full self-evaluation on who I was as a man of God. And he also got in my business as far as being happy the way he made me. I'm not a very vocal person. I always envy people who are very outspoken and, life of the party type of people. But that's not the way I'm set up. And he said, why are you knocking one of my creations? I made you this way for a particular reason. And I had to finally be okay with who God created me to be. Mm-hmm. And that's okay if you're different from everybody. God didn't make everybody the same way. If everybody the same way, this would be a very boring planet.
True.
So you're going to have people who are outspoken and outgoing. You're going to have people who are super quiet and don't like to be interacting with a lot of, huge crowds or parties and stuff like that. That's okay. But you have to be okay with who God made you to be. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when I tell you get this peace about you, when you know who you exactly are, and nobody can tell you who you are or put their projections on who they think you should be.
Facts. And I think, too, it's important to understand that, you may have influences. And I think we all who are adult children now, right? Like we may still have our parents and we're adults. We realize that there are certain influences our parents had. But when we get older, we are responsible for what we will accept about ourselves, what we will change about ourselves, what we will do, how we will pursue. And that's why I kind of wanted, to touch on that. You really couldn't do the work that you did. You couldn't do it without God. And another thing that I do want to mention is I'll touch on and I'll just segue into the third part of this conversation that we're going to have, which where I talked about where you have a father present, but not always present. I didn't learn this until I became an adult and really started having my own personal struggles on the things that my father struggled with, where I had to give him the credit, where I had to give God the thanks for his try. My father really tried in the midst of things that he struggled with. My father struggled with substance abuse and things like that. And thankfully, before he left this earth, he got the chance to experience life clean, and delivered and set free. So he really got to live his life from under the thumb of the addictions that he suffered from. But while he suffered from those, we were challenged as his children um, during those times where he had those struggles. And for a long time, I was mad about it. I was just like, I can't believe, because you brought me here. I didn't ask to come here, and how can you not be actively in my life? How can you not? And I did not understand, nor did I have compassion for his struggles until I got older. Now, although I didn't have the exact same struggles my father had, I did not have substance abuse struggles. I don't, have, those types of struggles, but I have my own where I'm able to be compassionate and understand that he is a human being. And his deliverance didn't come until he was responsible and accountable. And my presence as his child wasn't gonna make him be accountable. And so that sporadic engagement in my life did impact me. It affected me in a way where I was used to people showing up for a little while and disappearing. So when folks stuck around for a significant period of time, it triggered insecurities like, oh, well, you want something. I put things on people that weren't theirs to carry. I would be like, oh, you must want something. You trying to get me. Why are you here? And so I had to be healed and delivered from that. And then, of course, once I took the time to really empathize with my dad and try to understand what it was that he was dealing with, um, that actually helped our relationship. We were able to have sort of like the blessing of Jelani and his dad having the conversations they had. I was able to have that conversation with my dad and really express how it made me feel and also see it from his point of view. And I was glad that when we had that conversation, that my father wasn't making excuses. My father wasn't like, oh, life was hard, people were hard. He took responsibility for his actions, and he made sure to let me know now, you know, you can either forgive me or you can hold on to this, but the onus isn't on me anymore because I'm putting it all out there. And so I thought that really helped us. And so yes, as I mentioned, my father passed on this year. It's the 10-year um, anniversary or milestone of his passing, June 29th to be specific. And I just remember us having some really necessary conversations before he left here. And again, I know that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to have the closure conversations, to have the really hard, I need answers conversations. But I'm a witness to be able to tell you that God really wants to unpack that and then pack it away for you, like never to be a burden to you anymore. All right. But that comes from you feeling confident enough and having a trust in God to say, He hears me. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I had to believe in my heart that God really hears me. And I had to change the way that I approached God. I had to stop treating God like spit it all out, wait for the chastisement, and then leave the room. I had to treat the relationship like a real reciprocal relationship. Like he cares about what I'm saying and he has answers for me and he's patient with me and he's compassionate and he cares. That was something I had to put God in the right position in order for me to be able to receive what he always wanted to give. So, Jelani, back to you. The presence, what is your thought process now? I know you kind of touched on it with, your father, you being who you are, and had your father been engaged at the point that he was, you wouldn't be who you are. But if you had to give a young man who's a young father, and he's teeter-tottering on whether or not he wants to be involved in his child's life. Maybe he's got a tumultuous relationship with the mother of his child, and you know, what advice would you give him to help him to see that his presence in that child's life is so important, that it is more important than any issues he may have with other individuals, to do what he needs to do to be in that child's life? What advice would you give him?
Honestly, I would say um, just think of it from your child's standpoint of how much it would mean to have their father in their life. And the things you probably missed from you not having your father in your life, or lack of having your father in your life. And just think of the impact that all those things could potentially have on your child. Now, naturally, most parents, I would say majority parents, would do anything. They would move heaven and earth for their children. So you would start there. If you got a baby mama and y'all don't get along, I mean, from my own perspective, it's not about her. It's about the child. You do what you gotta do for the child. She's like secondary.
Respect her though.
Yeah, you respect
Even
her.
if she disrespects you.
You respect her.
Now I'm gonna say, I ain't gonna say get disrespected. She disrespects you. You do what you need to do, create the necessary boundaries so that, healthy boundaries, do the things you need to do, but respect her from the perspective of, don't stoop to certain levels. Don't do things like, don't throw the stone and hide your hand. Be upfront, be honest, be accountable. But if you're dealing with someone who gives you struggles, maybe because of their own issues, show your child that you're compassionate. Show your child where the priorities lie. And just don't give in to, the challenges they may put in front of you. You may have to work a little harder and do a little bit more due diligence, but it's about your child. You're showing your child that I'll walk through fire for you. I'll swim across the river for you, So I think it's just important that we understand the presence, your presence, and that it matters. Now, I don't want the lovely ladies who have carried these children to think that we have left you out of the conversation. I did mention this was a series. It is. It's a series. So, in the family dynamics, the next episode, which would be episode 5 of the It Takes Work podcast, we're going to talk about the presence of a mother. And we're going to kind of cover the same segments that we did tonight, where we're going to talk about the presence of a mother and how important it is, and the benefits. And then we're going to talk about the absence of a mother. And then we're also going to talk about that present but not so present mother. And so don't worry, not going to leave y'all out. And just so you guys can kind of have some insight into the next episode, we're going to do three episodes. We're going to touch on this series of the family dynamic. The third installment of this series is going to be about siblings and navigating in that sibling realm. Not so much from the presence of the siblings, but that engagement. And Jelani has Jelani and I both actually will have some unique perspectives on the sibling hood, because we have siblings by way of our fathers that we weren't actively raised with. But good relationships, good relationships. Mm-hmm. So we want to talk about that. And so thank you guys for tuning in. And before we go, I got a special little treat in light of Father's Day. I don't know if you guys know, but I wrote a book last year and published it on Father's Day. Dear Black Men, you matter. See that? Don't mind the little stickies. It helps me figure out where I am in life. Don't let this distract you. But we are approaching the 1-year anniversary of this book's release, and I am publishing a hardback copy of this book. It contains 140 poems. They're only 1 page in length. They're not long. And They are $20. The paperback is $20 on the Following His Way website, and the hardback is $30. So I will put those links in the description of this video for those of you that are watching it on YouTube. For those of you that are listening on the podcast platforms, the website is www.followinghisway.com. Click on the FHW store, and that's where you can purchase this book, Dear Black Man, You Matter. 140 poems written to inspire, encourage, and I don't know, bless the black man. Did it bless you?
God bless.
Amen. Come on in the room. So I am going to read a poem from this book, and it is in the section that I dedicated to Mr. Jelani Wilson. Isn't that interesting? And this piece is actually called The Presence of a Father. It's on page 50 of the book. So I'll go ahead and get right into it. If I had a father, maybe I would have gone farther in life. God says, the absence of your biological father's presence in your life does not and will not diminish the magnificence of you. He decided not to engage, sometimes leaving you in a fit of rage. So much of life seemed unfair and imbalanced not having him there. But there was protection in his selfish rejection. Aren't we glad God's plans can't be foiled by the foolishness of man? Here you stand, healed, loved, anger-free, now the father he was not equipped to be. You were never alone, regardless of him being missing physically. You were fathered all along. The presence of the Father walked with you, reared you too. It was with God's love that you were nourished. Because of that, every seed you planted flourished. No good thing has been withheld from you. You lack nothing in love. God saw, is seeing, and will continue to see you through. Now to him who is able to keep you from stumbling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To God our Savior, who alone is wise, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and forever. Amen. That's Jude 1:24-25. But that's that piece. I hope you liked it. If you liked it enough where you want to read it again, buy the book. www.followinghisway.com, the FHW store. Dear Black Man, You Matter, because you do. Oh, and just so y'all know, this book isn't just for black men. It's for anybody that likes a good poem, likes to be inspired, likes to be encouraged. But get the book. Hardback copies available. Thank you all for tuning into It Takes Work.
Thank y'all.
We will be back in July with episode 5, right? Season 1 will end after 10 episodes, okay? So we will be at the halfway point of season 1. Thank you guys for hanging in there with us. We are so thankful for your support. We will see you guys in July. Take care, everybody.